Hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Persona 5 The Phantom X. That's the game that we're having a look at today. Now if you're not across it, I do overviews on this channel. It's where I have a look at the first 2 hours of a game. It's a segment, I have a whole spiel that I usually rattle off. There are exceptions to the rule, especially when you look at free-to-play games like this one. So we'll still call it worth your time, worth your money. I've done like 1,000 videos with that title, but the core thesis still stands the same, much like with Mecha Break from the other day, in that I've spent a couple of hours with the opening of a game to get a mouthfeel for what it's about, and hopefully I can convey some information to you and save you some time. So this is a tricky recommendation because I'm not really 100% sure who it's for and if the actual core audience that it would be for would actually like it, unless it's just like I'm gonna hoover up anything with Persona's name attached to it. You know, it's a bit of a slop consumerist reaction, but beyond that, I'll try and navigate it and help you out. I did mention Mecha Break, we just covered that, and that's another free-to-play game. A lot of people were curious if that's like a gacha. It depends what you think of gacha. I don't play them a lot, so this is a sort of unusual week for me. But the way that I always understood it was that usually the line cross for gacha is like pay to win, like super heavy monetization. But again, it's so broad, right? There are some that will say any cosmetics are gacha, so I can't really say much, but I can compare the two because they're fresh on my mind. Mecha Break, while it has a whole bunch of confusing menus and it's quite overwhelming, you can kind of skip most of that and just play the core game, and I really enjoy the loop. And to me, that's enough, right? I'm never going to give it any money, but I'm probably going to play it a stack. I played a bunch more last night with some mates, and it's even better with friends. Stands on its own, you don't need to put money in. This, on the other hand, feels like it's much more aggressive about trying to get money from you, and it seems to really hang its hat, I suppose, even as a design philosophy, on trying to milk you. At least, look, that's what it feels like as a fairly normie casual dude that's not a gacha guy, right? However, I am a bit of a Persona fan. I've played 3, 4, and 5. I realize that 5 is the big breakout Western explosion, and that's why they're milking it so hard. It's also the most recent one, right? Until 6, I suppose. But funnily enough, my personal favorite is Persona 3, and that may well just be the circumstances around when I played it in my personal life at the time, but I found it kind of be a bit grittier, a bit darker, the whole shooting yourself in the head to summon your dude. And anyway, they're all good games, they are. But where does Persona X fit into this? Because it's free to play, it's made by the core team from what I understand. Atlas has done this, unless it's in name only. It's very much set in the Persona 5 universe, and you know, all the same art style and everything from Persona 5 is there. The animations, the cutscenes, you know, you sort of little anime interludes. And funnily enough, to me, that's kind of the strangest or almost most derivative or boring part of it. All right, let me just try and pull this apart. Again, I'm not a huge Shin Megami core player. I've played the 3 Persona games mentioned. And the thing about Persona is it has a theme and nods that are carried through each setting, but you know, they're distinctly different worlds. It's kind of like a Final Fantasy game. You know, there will be things tying them together, except there's probably a bit more overt stuff in Persona. And so yeah, you'll be a school kid in a contrived situation doing, you know, dating sim during the day, social sim, and dungeons at night, managing personas, that sort of thing. They all have the same theme. They'll have their own twist on it, their own style. Again, Persona 5 is a really big one, but this whole specific soundtrack and the thieves stealing hearts, you know, like this is unique to this setting. Like I brushed over 4, but that's got the whole, you know, going into the television thing and a totally different, you know, like a different theme, kind of a different art style and inspiration, but under the hood, it's still the same team doing it. And that's where this sort of throws me, because it is kind of beat for beat exactly the same as Persona 5. Like, not just a spin-off, but it almost feels like a rip-off, which is very strange because it's coming out of the same company, right? You've got a different main character, but now you've got this sidekick Owl, and just beats going through shadows and stealing hearts and introducing palaces, and every mechanic, every moving part is the same as Persona 5. The only real exception is there seems to be some crossover with Joker. It's still early days, I've only put a few hours into it, and he's the main character from Persona 5. The opening cutscene has you actually just replay as Joker, and then you bump into the main character from this and they have a showdown, and he showed up to help me in a fight as well. So I don't know what they're doing. I think what's gonna happen is that this is an alternate universe. Like, this is a parallel timeline where you're an alternate version of Joker or something like that, right? I'm not 100% sure, but that would make the most sense. But my point in all of this is that it is just so clearly you've taken the identical formula under the hood of Persona 5 and just used it here with different almost assets, just different characters. I've never really seen such a derivative product of someone's own product launched alongside it. Well, I guess it's years later now. And as such, it becomes boring. Now, these games can already be tricky, you know, they are the quintessential example of, you know, Japanese RPG extravagance. In that, you got to be careful if you press next for a cutscene or whatever, you might find yourself 30 minutes without a save point or even a breather, right? They just keep going and going and going. So my point is that it's doing all that, but at the same time, it's derivative of Persona 5 in such an almost one-to-one way that it's gonna test you, man. This thing might put you to sleep. And I haven't even gotten to the core loop, which is okay. This is clearly a mobile game ported across, which is impressive, by the way, with all the art and all that. It's, like I said, it's pretty much one-to-one Persona 5, and it's cool that they're putting stuff like that on mobile. But as far as like the gacha component, you roll with a bit of nominal currency at the beginning, you get a couple of different characters and you slot them into your team. Again, incredibly overwhelming, obtuse, in your face. I just find it way less palatable than, you know, something like Mecha Break. I could just kind of ignore that. And the combat is, you know, again, derivative but throttled and limited because of the gacha nature. It seems pretty much sequential RPG unlocks of abilities, and it's all just level related. But yeah, I guess, look, I just spent my starting whatever currency and it dried up pretty quick. It's a bit rude that they will let you roll characters that you already have. Like, I've rolled the owl side character, and I was like, well, I never even rolled him in the first place. The game just gave him to me because he's my sidekick. So I thought that was a bit cheap, especially when it has all these weird, again, you'd have to be a gacha enthusiast or whatever, but they have these things written down where, like, after 80 draws on this particular type of card or whatever, you're guaranteed a 4-star hero or whatever, right? So, like, to me, that's so bald-faced and egregious. Like, they know how fucking broken their percentages are that they have a mechanic built in to auto, like, reward you, like they feel sorry for you or something like that. But then at the same time, it might just roll something that you already have. Again, I might sound like an absolute noob when it comes to this gacha environment, but it's pretty egregious. And I don't know, how do you take something as wonderful and original as Persona 5, which, by the way, is in every way superior to this game? You could probably get it on sale as part of the Steam Summer Sale, which, and by the way, you put like bloody 100 hours into it, clocking it. So again, who is this for? Is this aimed at people that haven't played Persona? I wouldn't say so, because in a way it does the legacy wrong. So is it aimed at the degenerates that played Persona for 500 hours, multiple playthroughs, and they just want more again? Because I feel like even they would be disappointed by this because it's just so one-to-one, blatantly a rip-off of its own core product. So yeah, I'm not really sure who I'd recommend this to, right? Other than people that are degenerate gacha people, but that's separate from Persona full stop, right? Anyway, food for thought. It's okay. It's as well polished. In fact, it's beyond okay. It's well polished, well put together. All the moving parts are clearly done by the original team, but again, it feels soulless at the same time. And I really do wonder if they've kind of eaten their own tail with all the Persona 5 spin-offs and, you know, like just all these products attempting to cash in on it. I wonder if Persona 6 might actually just blow up in their face. Or it could be astronomically popular, who can really say? But yeah, look, this is okay, but all it really makes me want to do is go back and potentially reinstall Persona 5 instead of playing this. But at the same time, I played so much Persona 5 at the time, I don't really feel like going back to Persona 5. I'd sooner go back and play Persona 3 Reload or something like that. So yeah, if you're getting mixed messages from me, it's because this game's putting out mixed messages. It's free to play, it's incredibly high quality, as far as these free-to-play games go, because it's the core team that made the original game doing this derivative version of their original game. And yet, I can't find myself really recommending it to anyone, and I'm still confused at this point who it's really for. Maybe avoid it, play a different Persona game. I mean, come on, Atlas has put out so many other bangers that it kind of flopped comparatively because they're not Persona 5. Like Metaphor came out last year, there's a banger. Everyone should play that. But at the same time, they've put out like Raidu recently, and that slipped right under my radar, and I think that's a Shin Megami game as well, perhaps in the same sense as like Soul Hackers 2, which I thought another great game that everyone slept on and no one gave a crap about, and yet is just Persona adjacent. So yeah, there you go, Persona 5X, whatever it's called. First ever self-derivative product I've ever seen that, because of its lack of originality and absolute adherence to its established everything from Persona 5, kind of came off as boring. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.